Welcome to our second module. Here, we're going to explore what fashion's footprint is on the environment. And to do that, I will introduce to you the concept of environmental profit and loss and some web applications and tools that you can use to actually measure that and quantify that. I will also introduce you into some tools and applications that you can use for analyzing your own shopping habits as a case study and maybe find some ways to alter your personal impact on the environment through your personal shopping habits. Then lastly, I will introduce you some fashion footprint calculators and carbon calculators that you can either use for your individual exploration of your personal impact on the environment, and or you can bring these to your production and make a case study for what the actual consumption and impact is of your production. The costume industry is inherently wasteful. A typical film or TV drama will use more clothing than the average person uses in their lifetime and will produce more waste in a week than the average person or the average household in a year. And I think to us working in the costuming industry, we are pretty aware of this. It's pretty obvious the amount that we overbuy, we overconsume, and that doesn't always get taken care of at the end of the show at wrap in the best possible way, in the most caring way to the environment. So how do we measure our impact? There are a myriad of different ways. One of the ways that I find quite interesting is an environmental profit and loss tool. I think this tool is really helpful for larger companies or corporations. If your production is really serious about understanding what their impact is, and if the studio wants to do better in the future and future productions, this is a great way to understand and quantify that actual impact and understand more tangibly what that impact is. So what does the EP&L do and how does it work? The EP&L, the Environmental Profit and Loss tool, is a form of natural capital accounting, and it measures our greenhouse gas emissions, water use, water pollution, land use, air pollution, and waste across our entire global supply chain. And our impacts are translated then into a monetary value, which allows us to understand the hidden costs and benefits we generate from the way we operate. This insight drives innovation and helps us make better, more sustainable decisions in everything that we do. And as we mentioned earlier in our discussion about stakeholders, film is a money-making business. If we can make a case for more environmental practices through actually putting a price on the detriment done by a production to nature and to the environment, then we can really start to make some tangible efforts to move into a more sustainable direction. In this particular tool that I am showing you was developed by Caring, a sustainability consultant for a lot of big brands in fashion. They measure this impact through different tier systems. So they measure the store, warehouses, and offices impact in energy consumption, the assembly, so measuring the impact of fiber waste, water usage, the manufacturing process, same thing here, different chemicals also in chemical waste, raw material processing and raw material production, which are actually some of the most energy intensive and pesticide, herbicide, all kinds of chemical fertilizer intensive parts of the industry, which we often don't really think about because they're so removed from the user face of fashion and of clothing. I would suggest this tool for your final project if you have one of the garments or products that they allow you within their parameters to dive deeper into, like a jacket, a shoe, a ring, then please go ahead and explore that. It will calculate the environmental impact, monetize it, and as if you were to write a check to nature for those resources, which I think is fantastic and something that we should really think about more when we think about fast fashion and the true cost of garments. The way that you would go about using that is to download the application. This is not one that you can do online. So you download that into your mobile device and you choose your product to calculate the environmental impact of that product, to evaluate it. You choose where the material was made and what it is made of. And if you're not really sure, look at your garment label and or make an estimated guess, especially if you have a background in fashion, clothing, textiles. You might have an idea of where that could have been assembled. If you're using this tool for your final project, just take some pictures of what it is that you're evaluating, take some screenshots of the application and its results, and put together a little mood board case study, just explaining what you understand from this assessment, and maybe if you have any suggestions of how this garment could have been made a little bit more sustainable, or some suggestions about where this garment will end up, or what its end of life cycle will be like, then that's great. This one is just like a really fun quiz you can do online. It's by ThreadUp, and you may be familiar with ThreadUp or not, but they're a secondhand or consignment shop online and has created this online tool to be able to assess what your shopping habits are. There's like 10 or 11 questions. It's a really short quiz, so it's not the most in-depth, but it will definitely give you a snapshot of what your personal impact on the environment is. And this is a more holistic assessment because it's not just about one garment. It really is about your shopping habits as a whole. And once you start to understand your personal shopping habits and what just one person's impact is on the environment, you will really be able to understand what that is at a grander scale in a costuming department or in a film production. So like I said, you go to the website, ThreadUp. I believe it's under their fashion footprint link, and just do the quiz. It'll give you a bunch of questions like about your laundry habits and how often you purchase clothing, new and used. And then it will give you, again, quantifiable data about your shopping habits. And it will give you these in the form of carbon dioxide emissions. So it will tell you that your shopping habits are equivalent to X amount of flights, for instance, per year. A few other really great resources that I will just mention here. And if you want to use these for your final project, or just you want to sample a bunch of them and see what works best for you and what you can relate to more, what resonates more, there's another web tool. It's called Good on You. And I will talk about this platform more later as well when we talk about sourcing. This is an amazing platform when it comes to understanding the real impacts of particular brands. They have a huge glossary and database of different brands and what their sustainability practices are, their transparency and traceability practices. So if you're unsure if a brand that you're super loyal to, what their stance is on sustainability, you don't really want to reach out to them personally, it's not your vibe, then you can go on their website and type it in and see what it says. I also want to mention carbon calculators, and there's a ton of these trainings online. For instance, in my bioregion, Toronto, we have the Real Green Carbon Calculator training, and they have free trainings really often, like a few times a month, to get you certified to use a carbon calculator tool. And also online, you can find Albert, which is a sustainable production organization. They also have free trainings. A few other resources I'd encourage you to at least have a look through because they are free, online, downloadable, and they're packed full of information. They're quite lengthy, so if you love reading and looking through data, this is for you. If not so much, they do also have a lot of graphics and data reports. They're easily digestible. And you can also find big corporations, big brands, and more about their transparency and their accountability to sustainability. One of them is by Fashion Revolution, so the Fashion Transparency Index. They also have a ton of other reports and indexes on their website, so check out Fashion Revolution for sure. And also the Pulse on Fashion report. There's a few different iterations of this, really amazing overview and report of how the fashion industry is doing in all these aspects of, again, accountability, traceability, transparency, sustainability, etc. As people actively working in this field, be educated and be aware of what is going on at a grander scale and what we're contributing to as consumers and as makers. You will see here just a little snapshot from the Fashion Revolution Transparency Index. There is a really great graphic here with their key findings and just comparing different big name brands, fast fashion and high street brands. As a self-assessment practice, take a moment to go through some of your favorite and some of your least used pieces in your wardrobe. Not being judgmental about either or, just being objective. And use a fashion footprint calculator tool like ThredUp, Positively Farfetch, or Kering's EP&L tools. All of these online applications that I've shared with you, or if you know additional ones, please post them in the comments or let me know about them and use those. And you can get a better idea at how your personal clothing choices are making an impact on the planet. So feel free to share any of those revelations with us. And finally, using all of this data and all of this information to create a greener department. Just like the addition of money trackers in our departments, a sustainability advisor and liaison who is dedicated to doing this research, putting together budgets and connecting with suppliers and recycling services will make this work so much more attainable for us in the costume department. I hope that those insights were helpful in any way, and I can't wait to see what your discoveries are in your personal wardrobe. And if you have any insights into a production that you've been working on or a particular costume designer that you work with who is doing great things or maybe not so great things, post it in the chat, post it in the comments, because it's great for us to learn from each other. This is how we evolve and we make progress in the industry. It's by sharing skills. So I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.